20.
9:10 on this Tuesday, April 16th. Good morning. It's the Hometown Morning Show with Tori and Kyle. I love kicking him out when we have guests in the studio. He's pretty happy about it, too. He'll just have a bagel in the kitchen for right now. We welcome Shannon. You're going to help me with the last name. Wait, let me try it. Shannon Avazian? No, wait, Shannon, am I close?
Perfect.
I feel like we should just have coffee and a donut right now, the two of us. So I got that right. Dustin, what's your last name?
Baker. Pretty easy.
Seriously?
Mess that one up.
Seriously, Dustin, that's your last name?
Mm-hmm.
I got the other one spot on. Dustin Baker. Okay. Dustin and Shannon, welcome to the Hometown Morning Show with Tori and Kyle. Welcome to the KHTS Home and Garden Show, which is coming up the end of actually, it's next week. It's next weekend. It's coming up on the 27th, 28th, free admission. Assisted living locators. Now, I have an inkling about what that is all about. But, Shannon, tell me how this can benefit us. Assisted living locators. By the way, you're owner and you're an advisor as well.
Local care advisor.
Mm-hmm. So Shannon, tell me about assisted living locators. Why it's so important to us here in the Santa Clarita Valley?
Well, we're really a service for the community. So many of us are facing aging parents. And what that looks like is usually you're going to walk into a home with your parent. You're going to realize one day, oh no, mom's not safe to stay at home. Mm-hmm. And then we have guilt, and we have all these emotions tied in that. So much guilt. So much guilt, and so many, and our mind is just, it goes almost blank. It does.
Because you kind of feel a little bit frozen and numb, because you don't want to look at your parent in that way. Your parent has been your hero for how many years, right? Yep. And then all of a sudden, the roles reverse, and now we got to take care of our parents.
Yep.
So we call assisted living locators, and what do you guys do?
We go out and we'll do an assessment. And basically, we want to meet with you and the family and have that conversation, because so many parents are not willing to have that conversation with the child, and we go back into that role. So once we are able to assess the parent, we can make an appropriate decision.
The elder parent, sure.
The elder parent. And usually we come up with a plan A, B, or C. And sometimes it's just maybe getting in-home care for the aging parent. Maybe they don't need to go to an assisted living. There's several different, there's in-home care, there's independent.
There's independent living. There's
assisted living.
Justin, get it together.
Yeah, I got your back.
Right.
Yeah, you've got home health services. I mean, we're truly just going to come in and assess exactly what the patient's need is going to be, and then bring in the appropriate care or outside care that we're going to refer out. So we're truly, best way that I can describe our service is case management meets real estate.
I love that. Yeah. That's talk about coining a phrase. And Dustin, please note, next time she's poking you in the ribs, you got to step up, man. Come on. So there are several levels, you guys. Talk to me about this. So there's in-home care, which is maybe just someone to be a companion, maybe help with the medicine, maybe watch TV, play cards, maybe take for a walk.
Meal prep, laundry, house services.
Right.
Help with transfers, showers, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Really what anything they need.
Yeah, and maybe getting mom or dad to the doctor.
Okay, so some errands possibly, but they can stay in the home. At what point, and again, I know you just said every case is different. You have to go assess the case and have an interview and see what's going on. But at what point is there just something that when you come in and you go, it's not going to work in home care, we got to go to the next level? Is there something that absolutely like a red flag?
There's definitely some triggers.
A couple things. Typically the number one thing is a monetary issue, is because that's the hands down the most expensive route of having care rendered to an individual.
Assisted living?
No, having in-home care.
Oh, in-home care. Okay.
Caregiver to come in, and I mean, everybody wants to stay at home, so if they're able to manage that, that's awesome. But it's anywhere from $27 to like $35 an hour. So you start adding that up, and if somebody needs 24/7 care, we're talking $12 to $15 grand a month.
I'm sorry, what?
12 to 15 grand a month for
in-home care.
Yeah.
That's expensive. Who can?
If they needed.
Which is exactly why so many assisted living, exist out there, is because most people can't afford such a care.
And I'm assuming that in-home care, not insurance.
No. That's all private.
It's all private pay.
It's all private pay.
Yeah.
So we need to win the lottery.
Right.
Then
Bill Gates. Yep.
okay, or Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He's set up fine. He'll be fine.
He'll
He's
be good to
good.
go.
He's good.
So when I think with the moment when somebody needs to start looking at assisted living options is when they're now needing to have care rendered multiple times throughout the day. If somebody just needs help with a shower, maybe a couple times a day with errands, housekeeping, etc.
Sure.
They can probably manage from a monetary standpoint with in-home care, but we're start talking about, and we're now needing help to get up out of bed. We're now needing help throughout multiple times throughout the day, at night, showering. Everything's included now. It starts to just become way too expensive for most folks out there.
Got it. A couple of questions. I have so many questions, but I'm going to try and pare it down. So let's say you decide, you go in, Shannon, you do an assessment. Mm-hmm. Do you personally do them, or do you have colleagues? Okay. No. So Shannon goes in and she assesses the situation. If she thinks it's a little bit more than in-home care, so we have to do assisted living. Do you get a lot of pushback from if you suggest that, not the adult children, but the parents? Do they resist a lot of that?
Sure. I mean, absolutely, all of us would. But, when they actually sit down with an advisor, a lot of times they're willing to accept it more than they are from their own child.
Sure.
So when they start talking, they'll actually start and say, you know what, you're right. I do need more help, And sometimes they don't. It just depends on where they are with their memory. They may be having issues that way. So it just kind of depends on what's going on. But
so many questions, so many scenarios. Tomato.
Right.
If they call you, Shannon, you will be able to do an assessment, guide them. If they just have a question, sometimes we don't need it right now, but maybe 6 months from now, they're starting to see something happen. And so we don't need right now, but maybe we'll need you in 6 months. Can they call you and ask some questions?
Absolutely.
And say, are we headed down that path, Shannon? Help me.
Yeah, and I like to meet with the family and have that conversation ahead of time, so then that way we have a plan A, B, and C. Mm-hmm. We might not need it today, like you said, but maybe we need it down the road. We can actually tour the communities, see what's out there, see what that cost looks like, and be proactive, and maybe start talking to our seniors. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe it's in-home care now.
Right.
But once we, determine at some point we're going to need maybe an assisted living.
You said something very important, proactive. Mm-hmm. Proactive. So many times we don't want, because we're human, we don't want to think about this. Mm-hmm. And so we push it to the side, and most times we're reactive, aren't we?
Oh, normally it's always in an emergent circumstance
right?
when we get the call. But there are folks that do end up being proactive, and it typically lends itself to a better situation when we're not having to, pull the trigger with all the emotions of, somebody being at the hospital and having to do things in a very urgent situation.
Exactly.
It's just a better outcome. We
kind of need to change that mentality. And it's not a bad thing. It's just how we're wired. We just don't want to. We don't want to deal with that. We don't want to see our parents getting old and
or ever leave the home.
Or ever leave the home.
Even
because
have to, make that decision for them.
Exactly. Shannon and Dustin, are you going to be personally at the Home and Garden Show?
I am.
Shannon,
Absolutely.
You're going to be at the Home and Garden Show.
Absolutely.
All right. So we need to talk real quickly about what to expect.
Okay.
You ready for about 20,000 people to come by your booth?
Wonderful. Let's do it.
Shannon, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Questions are going to come your way. They're going to want to meet you. They're going to want to see what you're all about. It is a lot of fun, though. So I hope you bring a colleague.
Yes.
Because you're going to want to walk around, too. You're going to want to hit the food trucks, especially the food trucks. You're going to want to have some fun as well. Please go out, meet Shannon. These guys, in such a horrible situation, we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to deal with it. But you guys are so much fun, and you're such lovely people that I can feel the empathy. And if you have any questions whatsoever, Shannon can be reached at Assisted Living Locators. The number is 544-1004, 544-1004. Shannon at assistedlivinglocators.com. If you need those numbers again, don't hesitate to call the station. We will have the interview up online in just a bit. So if anyone has any questions, they want to see the interview again, we'll have that up online. Is there anything we're forgetting that's absolutely imperative to this?
This is 100% free for folks out there, our service, because we are compensated.
Wait, what?
Yes. So we're compensated by the facility. We charge the facility a referral fee, and that's how we're compensated. So to the families and loved ones out there, it is 100% free information.
Dustin,
Free.
you guys, next time, you got to give me the piece of cake first. We should have led with this. It's a free service. How fantastic.
Yes.
You guys, thank you so much for being part of the Hometown Morning Show with Tori and Kyle. We will see you next week. Well, we'll see Shannon.
Yes.
Dustin, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. Remember, this means help. And the dig in there. You guys have been absolutely a huge pleasure to have in studio. And thank you so much for all the very important information. We'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Chiquita Canyon